All right, everyone, I have 5 p.m. Derek, you're good? Rod, you're good? We're all good. I'll call the July 2nd Richland County Campus Reconfiguration Committee to order. First item of business is roll call. Mr. Kalish.
Carroll.
Here.
Manning. Here. Westburner.
Here.
Turk.
Here.
Frank.
Here.
And Williams.
Here. Verification of open meeting law compliance.
Yes, Mr. Chair, Supervisor Williams, and the meeting's been properly noticed.
Thank you. Agenda approval. 15-point agenda in front of us as posted. Mr. Frank, seconded by Mr. Manning. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the agenda as posted, signify by saying aye. 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 Man, we got Mr. Turk on. Anybody opposed? All right. Minutes. Next item, number 5. Minutes from June 4th. They are in the packet. I was not here. Glanced through them. Anybody see anything need to be changed, corrected? If not, I will declare them approved as posted and put in our packet. Mr. Turk is good with that? All right, we're good with the minutes from the June 4th. Anybody? Item 6, public comment. Anybody online for public comment? I don't see, no. All right. Moving into item 7, report. 7A, UW campus status update.
The biggest update that I have is UW Putnam is coming tomorrow to get the records and all of the computers. So we're very happy that they are going to be coming and that'll be taken care of.
Nice.
Is someone going to be there to make sure they actually do that?
Yes, yes, we will have a staff member there the whole time. Yes.
Are we confident we found everything that they needed to take?
I think so, and I can let Dave weigh in on that too, but I do believe so.
Did you hear the question, Dave?
Yes, I did. There's a couple different rooms that have a lot of records in it that I know Randy's aware of, so he will definitely get them to those places. And then there were the items in the file cabinet in the dean's office, so they should have all that information and should be able to clean all that stuff out.
I think the only thing up in the air is the athletic records that are out there. They weren't sure if they were going to take those or not, but they were going to review them and determine if they should stay and go to some historical entity locally or if they will take those with.
Questions on the campus update? David, anything to add?
No?
Okay. If not, we'll move on to the bridge construction update. Is that Mr. Elder?
Yes, sir. The bridge is just about completed. They put the traffic paint on there, I believe it was Tuesday. At this point, they're going to be coming in to redo the back slopes as far as like replacing all the dirt and material tomorrow. And then there's a subcontractor coming in to do the fencing along the retaining walls Monday, Tuesday next week. And then the final walkthrough, make sure there's no punch list items that we need to address, will be near the end of next week, and the day of that is to be determined. If any of you would like to attend that final walkthrough, just let me know so I can reach out to you once that date and time is scheduled to see if you can be there or not.
Questions for Mr. Elder in regards to the campus bridge? Nearing completion. Mr. Manning.
How did it come out as far as what we budgeted for, Guy?
Really close. We only had the one change order, but I think we had budgeted extra for another side of the rebar, so I think we came in extremely close.
Perfect. Any other questions on the campus bridge? All right, let's move on to item 7C, Venture Architects update. I see Corey's online. Can you hear us, Corey?
Yep. Yes, I can.
All right.
My team and I were out there this week. We did the building assessment, or at least started it for the ambulance building, Simon Center, as well as Pine Valley facility. So we went through that. We spent the whole day out there, and we should have a report to you within the next couple of weeks on that.
Perfect, thank you. Questions for Corey in regards to the 3 buildings that they're doing the research on it. We'll be excited to see another report. If not, let's go to 7B, site feasibility of county property near the fairgrounds. 7B.
All right, should like to share my screen. That's not. Can you see the map?
Yes.
Okay. So this is the site by the fairgrounds that we were looking to evaluate. I believe we sent up front kind of our evaluation of this, just kind of going through this. You see this shaded area, that is on the, per the GIS, that was the wetlands around the area. So it looks like anything in the area that we were evaluating does not impede on that, which is a good thing. So then here, kind of overlaid out for a future government center. So it is an option. We did take a look at it. It does appear to be enough space on site to accommodate that, and any additional future growth for county government could pertain to that. As well as kind of going through this, just to give you an idea. Some of the years, and this is just a concept, you'd have the sheriff's law enforcement center on one level, jail as well, and then some of the government and courts could potentially be on the second floor. Obviously, there's a number of different options that we could take a look at for future expansion. But getting back to that overlay, there's definitely looks like enough space for future growth for that. Any questions on this evaluation?
Go ahead, Mr. Frank.
Any obvious, I mean, very early in the process, but any obvious challenges, anything that you look at and go, possible obstacles, anything that stood out?
No, we kind of look at it with the grades that we could decipher off the GIS mapping. Didn't seem to be anything to impede any concerns to us. Obviously, one of the first things we kind of look at was the wetlands, and that's clearly out of that area as well. We do have a piece of property that's kind of stuck in the middle, and you're kind of wrapping around those sites as far as the entrances. But then again, we do have what we always want to do for a government center is have 2 entrances and exits off the site for security reasons. And then we can accommodate both of those pretty well on that. And then maintaining, obviously, we always like to try to keep natural vegetation intact. So we're really not impeding on a lot of that either.
Corey, do you know how far, or anybody in the room know how far the closest city sewer is and water?
That we could not find.
Mr. Elder?
Just to confirm, this is that area that's currently owned by the highway department.
Yeah, I know where it's at.
Most of the city water is across the road at the fairgrounds.
Okay. So not.
Water and sewer.
Yep.
Okay. Our sand pit,
Our wonderful clay pit.
our clay pit. Any other questions for Corey? What's the timeline on this one, you think, Corey? Or how much more, or what's your direction as far as this site?
As far as this site, we were just evaluating this if it's feasible on this portion. So how much further you would like to go, I'm open.
Agenda item for executive and finance, sounds like to me. All right, thank you. Questions for Corey in regards, everybody understand where this is out there? East of the fairgrounds? Okay. Thank you, Corey. We'll be waiting for the next reports.
Sounds good.
Item 7E, update on assessment of specialized items in campus buildings. 7E.
So I
Mr.
can-
Chair?
Yes, Mr. Turk.
Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt there. I was just going to say, we have recently had Ithaca and Richland Center's instrumental music programs looking at instruments and very gladly taking some of them that they're going to be able to use. So they have gotten everything they want out, and I believe Weston was also interested, so we are going to connect with them and give them a chance to go through what's left. They did take quite a bit of stuff, so it's a lot emptier out there now than it was.
Anybody with questions in regard to the instruments? All right. You're up.
That's all I was gonna share, was that was the latest, was
Okay,
the music items, and then I'll be connecting with Weston next.
good, good.
Yep. And I'll connect again with Brandon Federley soon, talking about artwork and things like that that are out there that he said he would be willing to coordinate with us on too, so.
Mr. Carroll.
Whatever happened with the pianos? I don't recall where that's been.
The latest with the pianos is that, and correct me if I'm wrong in regards to this, is the cost to refurbish them would be very, very significant. But that I think it's something, if someone was willing to, or interested in having them, we would entertain that.
But we haven't put the word out to that effect.
Correct, we have not.
Good.
I have mentioned to the Richland Center Schools Music Department that one piano, based on the information we got from Mr. Lowe, was worth investing in. So they're taking a look at whether they might be interested in taking that on or not. The other ones are, financially not significant according to our past info, but they could be made usable again.
How much money are they talking about fixing the expensive one, and then what would it be worth, do you know?
I don't know specifically what a repair cost would be. There wasn't a full professional assessment done of it. It was an informal kind of go over by a guy who knows stuff. So I don't know what it would cost, but a brand new one of that variety and that brand name is 6 figures.
Yeah, I don't even remember, I think his rough estimate wasn't over, I'm not even gonna guess. Mr. Lowe told us, rough guess, but
Yep.
until it's really looked at, it could be a lot more than what they would even guess at, so. We'll move that forward to see if the school's interested. If they're not, then we can see after that. Any other items on that? All right, let's move on to item 8, discussion and possible action on a request for proposal process. It's a presentation by Short Elliott Hendrickson Incorporated. Item 8.
So we
SEH.
do have 3 individuals here. If you guys want to introduce yourself and take over, you can go ahead.
For sure.
Introduce ourselves. I'm just over here so that I'm not behind you. Well, thank you very much for inviting us in and asking us to submit a proposal on this project. We'll go through and do some introductions, and then we'll start talking to you about what our recommendations are for the site and how to look at some redevelopment options. So I'm Bria Grace. I'm a principal with SEH. I've been with SEH for 7 years. Interestingly, I started my planning career at the Keysore Air Force Base, working for the county, figuring out how to redevelop the Air Force Base once the land got reverted back to the county. It was a really interesting way to get back into, or to get into civic planning and learn about zoning. So there's some familiarities here in that, the situation where you've got a building full of stuff and what do you do? And how do you create that into an economic development situation that can help the community? So I've spent 15 of my years doing urban planning for municipalities. Worked for the city of Ashland on Alaska as planning director and zoning administrator. Been with SEH for 7 years, and I spend a lot of time doing long-range planning, still some on-call zoning stuff, and a lot of funding assistance. And with me is Nate Day. Nate will be the project manager for this. So Nate, if you want to introduce yourself.
Thank you for making the time today for us to come in. I've been with SEH for over 15 years doing quite a bit of different things. Grant funding, environmental documentation, public engagement, land use studies, transportation plans. So I've had quite a bit of urban planning work throughout the years, and I'm excited about this project to work with all of you and try to make this place, to meet the expectations, exceed the expectations. I mean, this is a long-term project. You want to make sure this land is what you want it for the next many decades. So it's an important county-owned property. That's for sure.
With us also is Brian Fukuda, and Brian has been with us for a little over a week. And Brian comes to us from La Crosse County, has been working with public-private partnerships, economic development in the past. And Brian, if you want to introduce yourself a little more, please.
Sure. Yeah, so Brian Fukuda, also grateful for the opportunity to be here and speak with you about this property and the potential behind it. As Rhea mentioned, I spent most of my career working for La Crosse County. I was the community development manager there for about 17 years and worked on some similar projects as well, looking at our downtown campus in La Crosse and some of the renovations and reuse of some of the property within the downtown campus there. And I guess along the same lines as Dade, I think while it's certainly kind of a sad day for, or sad situation for a community to see a tremendous asset go away. It also does present an opportunity to just kind of revision, take a step back, see what a community needs, where those needs lie, and where this property might be positioned to help carry the community into the future. And so it's exciting work. I hope that we'll be able to work with you on that.
Thank you. I think if we could take a little bit of time and do introductions so we understand who each of the committee members are, kind of what perspective you're coming into it, and maybe just as a discussion feeder, this is a legacy project. So what's your biggest hope for this site, or what's the biggest concern that you have that if we don't get it right, that's the issue. So do you mind if we go around and do a brief introduction and just kind of talk briefly about that?
Sure, we'll start with Mr. Bob Frank.
Start right there and go. So I'm Bob Frank, retired law enforcement out of Richland County. Outside of law enforcement, I'm the chair of the State 911 Subcommittee, redoing the State 911 network. And after retirement, I decided to get into some rentals and some real estate things. And so I have a keen interest in that property and how to develop that. That's for the community, because I see some of the needs that are out there, both in residential and commercial community group type of organization. So I think there's a lot of potential there. We just have to figure out what the magic process is going to be, what the magic combination of things is going to be.
Thank you.
I'm Ingrid Glassfriend. I've been on the county board for about 5 years now. I work in the community as a registered nurse. Our family lives here. I've been in this community a long time. I actually attended the campus years ago. And I don't know that there's much more I can say than what he said. I echo a lot of his same concerns and desires to see that property being utilized in a way that makes sense for our county, both financially but also to better the community. I think that's all of our desires, is to see it, if we can't utilize it in a way that makes sense specifically for county government, then how can we utilize that property in a way that will make sense for the county itself? And I think that's what we all would like to see. And like he mentioned, there's residential needs, there's multiple needs that we can identify in our community. So a lot of potential. Thank you.
I'm Gary Manning. At the end of this term, I'll be 8 years, private contractor. One of my questions or comments is we had another firm in here give us some staggering numbers about what it would cost to refurbish these buildings. Have you got any thoughts on that so far? Are you going to scare us too? Or,
Give them a chance.
Don't scare boys. Well, I'm just thinking some of these buildings, remember, me and Marty were talking about the ex-president, or he's now deceased. And I always, from the beginning, had thought that some of these buildings will be torn down because it's just going to cost too much to change and be practical. So your comments on that when you get a chance to look at everything.
I'm Steve Caro, retired engineer, currently a hobby farmer. Been on the board, gosh, 5 or 6 years now, I guess. And like I think you said, it's a sad situation, but it's giving us this potential opportunity to do something new and fitting for what we need. I guess my main perspective is we need to be realistic. You'd love to have something that would look just like something out of the middle of the cross, but that's not realistic. But yet, we want to do as much as we can with what we got. And so I'm looking for help from you folks that recognizes that as realistic.
Thank you.
Steve Williamson, Vice Chair of the board, been in the county all my life. My parents been here since the late 1900s. I picked this up back in February. Most people here have heard me say this, but by 2040, the state of Wisconsin is going to need 20,000 more nurses and 60,000 more beds for us, some of us, that are aging, our aging population. Something else I picked up because I have a friend that's, several friends that are dealing with Alzheimer's. 7 million people in the United States are dealing with Alzheimer's, and they predict by 2040 that could reach 13 million. So, stuff, and then our population is aging. I've got some record or data on that here for the county, and the number of people, Dave and I were at the same conference in February, the number of people available to do work is decreasing, and our county is dramatically decreasing. And as you've seen earlier, we have another project that we have to do something here with this facility. So we've got a lot of projects to do. But, your help, any help will be great. And like they said, if we can't do it ourselves, then hopefully we can, with grant funding, or find people that can assist or hand it off and do what we can with it. Mr. Turk.
Yes, hello, I'm David Turk, I'm the county board chair. As I look at this, it is sad, but it is an opportunity. What I come into this looking at is, we hear lots of ideas, the county should do this, the county should do that. The county's not really in a position to do this. We need to get connected with people who have the resources and the ideas to develop this property into something that will generate economic activity, tax base, benefits for the community, and that's not something the county's in a position to do. So that's where we need expertise from a group like yours to connect us with those people who have the ideas, who have the resources, who can make something happen.
Thank you so much.
Good. Mr. Elder, do you want to comment? You're good?
I'm good.
You're good, all right.
So what we'll talk about next is, I want to share a little bit more with you about SEH. And then Nate will come up and talk about our approach on this project, just what we recommend, and then we'd like some feedback from you on, is this the right approach, should we make some tweaks? But at SEH, I lead a team of 12 planners. All but 3 are in Wisconsin. And so many of us have local government experience. So we've been kind of working with county boards, working with city councils. A lot have set hours and hours through meetings and partnered with developers. And I think our approach on this is all of us have worked on campus plans. As a city staffer, I've issued RFPs for site redevelopments. We've cleaned up brownfield sites, issued RFPs. Here we go, this is going to happen. And you get one developer that kind of responds. And so we are suggesting approaching it differently and building from the ground up. What assets do you have here? What are some entrepreneurial activities that can be brought on? So we have a sub-consultant that we want to bring on and start with a market analysis and really understand how we can build from the ground up and talk with stakeholders and developers in the area so that we build support for this project before we're going out for an RFP. So a little bit about SEH is that, yeah, we're planners, but we don't want another plan. I think just for the planning's sake. One thing I love about working for SEH is that we have team members who, lots of engineers, structural engineers, transportation engineers, water, wastewater system, architects. And as we're doing our planning processes, we can reach out to our colleagues, pick up the phone, hey, what do you think about this? What's the feasibility of this? And it helps guide us so that we're thinking about implementation as we're going through the project at the beginning. Because our goal is not to come up with a plan, we want to get this developed. We want to see action. We want to see tax revenue coming in from this site because that's how county government operates. You need tax revenue in order to keep doing your maintenance and investing in the community. So we understand that. That's the way we'll approach it. SEH is a firm of, we're just shy of 1,000 people. We have 9 offices in Wisconsin, 32 offices around the country. And just a great network of fellow staff. We're an employee-owned company, and so everyone is in it. Our motto is to build a better world for all of us, and I think that's really where our hearts are, is just giving back to our communities and trying to make our communities better places. So with that, Nate, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Bria. No, you said a lot of good stuff, and I think it's definitely true. I mean, you have this large, publicly owned site with pretty decent infrastructure, history of public use, strong community attachment. Goal is to help you think about ways that we can make this market viable, aligned with your goals as we start the process, and then obviously, like you mentioned, financially sustainable for the long term. That's going to be important because there'll be operational costs and things that will come up. So our goal is to position the site to attract partners and deliver the results for Richland Center and the county. So as Bria mentioned, Michael Stumpf is one of our key players in this that would do the market analysis to begin with. That's going to be the first step. That's really looking at the housing market, the commercial market. Is there a business use that would work in there? He would do this targeted analysis that he has worked on in places like La Crosse and other cities around Wisconsin that we've worked with. It's a great report to start with, and that's going to point out what the highest and best uses are, looking at the data that's available. And so I'm just kind of following along on this. If you want to follow along, and feel free to stop me with any questions. It doesn't have to be a lecture. We're going to take a hard look at the site itself. Really get the site analysis, understand the existing conditions, look at the environmental constraints like those floodplains that kind of surround the property, topography, access utilities, get a good idea of the zoning entitlements, see what's ready to go and where there may be obstacles in the process. Then that work would result in a site assessments conditions report that we would share with all of you. That would be the deliverable for that. That stakeholder coordination, developer interview portion of this phase, which is phase 1. There's 3 phases in our approach. We think it's essential to talk with people who might actually build on the site, and we do have people on our team like Ryan Depues who works with developers every day in and day out. He might be a good resource to find someone. I know he's already mentioned that his wheels are turning and he's talking to people, so that's a big deal.
Just to throw it, he was at a conference in Florida and started talking with a home manufacturer, and they have a plant in Wisconsin, so he's already thinking, trying to make connections for this site. So
the goal is to gauge the interest, understand challenges that these developers may see locally, validate the market findings that the market analysis told us. So we'll interview people, regional developers, economic development staff, nonprofit housing providers like Habitat for Humanity. I know Brian has a very close involvement with Habitat for Humanity in La Crosse, and I know Brian Depus does too on our team, so we have some good resources there to draw from. Then we'll provide that stakeholder interview summary from what we've heard there. Then it's really, once we got that groundwork laid, it's really moving into the second phase where we want to understand the market, site conditions, then refining those opportunities and making the site attractive for development. Now, this might be a good time to have some public engagement. That's an optional service at this point, but it could be really valuable for building buy-in at this point in the line and making sure any plan does reflect those local priorities.
Would you present, how often would you present to us? Would you, like at the end of phase 1, would you present? Or would you wait until you're completely done?
No, I think we would have bi-weekly calls. We would make sure we're on the same page, and then once these deliverables are ready, we would of course share those with you and have some back and forth.
And phase 1, in your estimated time frame, rough guess?
I think that first phase is probably going to take, what, 3 months?
Okay.
Yeah, do some of those interviews and get that site assessment. That's, let's see, what did we have? That sounds about 3 months. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. There it is.
So if I can ask a question on the site assessment and existing conditions. Are you able to utilize, we just had the firm Venture Architect do, complete analysis of all of the buildings. Is that information you're planning on utilizing, or are you thinking reinventing? No, okay. All right.
That's
Just
great
checking.
information to have.
Okay.
So you're
So
talking
you
that-
already calculated that in, sorry.
All right, you're asking my question, right?
Yeah, yeah, that would be one piece of information we would take into account.
And our subconsultant, Michael Stumpf, is excited to take a look at that and understand what the assets are of the existing buildings and see if that can be leveraged with the market opportunity. So that entrepreneurship, some agricultural type research uses. So definitely that will be used both in the market research, trying to align potential stakeholders and owners of the site, but in the site analysis too. Be factored in.
Yes.
No, in some ways, this is more puzzling than a greenfield site. You have these facilities there, are they this great bootstrap opportunity, or are they an albatross, And so I'm wondering where in your sequence here you think that assessment will be determined. In other words, are we going to utilize this or that building or not? Where in there do you think that decision will get?
That would be in phase 1 and 2, but in phase 1, hopefully we would, is it Venture Architects doing is it a mechanical engineering plumbing study?
Well, they did electrical, structural.
So that's great information, and that should shed some light on whether, it makes more sense to keep the building or.
Majority of the buildings they have to bring it up to code and to
Cost way too much.
So, no.
Yeah, I'm dealing with a project right now.
And, yeah,
Where the redevelopment cost is very expensive. Then, we, at this point in the process, I think getting funding and, because that's really what's going to drive a project, having a better understanding of that and starting to lay the seed around. So getting that advocacy paper, which we would prepare, help you communicate with those elected officials and community. You may want to send them off to the congresspeople that represent the area, our senators, getting this in front of them early on and often really helps. And there is, money out there that can be congressionally directed towards a project like this. So that paper would outline opportunities, benefits, why it matters to the county's future, and make sure we have all the important content in there. And then, like I said, funding, our team does a lot with funding. We've worked with Josh quite a bit with funding. It's key. We're going to identify potential sources and support or reduce project risk for developers too. They want to know what they're getting into. I think that's a real common thread with developers is they don't want any ambiguity. They want to know what they're getting into. And, some of that funding program overview would include state and federal grants. It might be for housing, it might be for cleanup, if that is an issue. Infrastructure, TIF is an option that would be through the city, so that would be a separate entity. But low income, housing tax credits, new market tax credits, anything that comes up during the project. Governor Evers had, the neighborhood infrastructure fund at a one-time only opportunity. We jumped on that and managed to get $4 million for the city of Rice Lake. So those opportunities pop up, and it's few in between, but keep our options open for that. We would make a funding memo for you to lay all those options out, update those as necessary. Any questions so far? We need to do a marketing strategy too at this point. It's nice to have some marketing of the site. We'll have to tailor a strategy to solicit the developer interest. As Bria mentioned, we would create that RFQ package to entice the developers, attract those teams. Might be a marketing flyer that we could put out on Facebook. Who knows? There's a lot of options to do that, and that's something we can discuss as we get closer to that.
Question. Based on the situation, do you guys see the possibility of more than one developer doing this or that segment? And is that something you would consider?
That was actually one of my questions that I had for all of you was kind of, in your mind, is this, we just want to sell it and be done with it, just one developer, master developer that might pull in other entities, or to your point, I think
We want the best deal.
Okay, so you're open.
More money?
Yeah, I do think that there's going to be different types of, when all is said and done, there's going to be different types of uses that might be a good fit for the site. I don't know. It could end up being, it's just all going to be demolished and turned into residential development or something like that. In which case you might be able to just do one developer that just does the whole darn thing. But in reality, it's likely to be, you're going to have a couple of different RFPs. You might slice up the site a little bit differently, kind of depending on what the market you study, where the market study is pointing us to, and where development interest is pointing to. And in reality, I think it's probably like what you're suggesting. It's going to be, a couple of different contracts with developers that might come out of the RFP process. Might come out of a couple different RFP processes, but be there with you to kind of navigate those to choose the developers, understand what they're proposing, what they're asking, and what they can deliver.
Yeah, and that's really the final phase is working with you and through that developer negotiation, making sure that you have an advocate on your side and all of us to help you through that process. So yeah, and we'll help you make that developer agreement too in that last phase. That's really the proposed scope right now, but we're happy to answer questions.
Yeah, so you've got your price breakdown here. Is there any grant funding or anything that helps this initial piece of these costs? I mean, we're looking at $43,000, but is there something that you're familiar with that's available for that kind of goal?
I know our $2 million grant from the state could be used to cover this.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Turk, are you online?
Yes, I am.
Do you have any questions so far?
No, not at this point.
All right, Mr. Elder.
From my understanding too, in working with SEH quite extensively in the past on many different grants and many different road projects, if there are grants out there, correct me if I'm wrong, you guys notify Richland County of them right away, and you can facilitate to help write those grants, and they're well traversed to just about every grant. They're well connected with the government as well to be able to get it in front of the right people and get support on this. Of course, those do come at an extra cost outside the scope of these projects, typically because each grant requires a different amount of workload that goes into them and a different type of a team sometimes to put it together. So that's something to be made aware of.
If I can follow up, John, you've worked with SEH before?
A lot. Ever since I've started and before I was actually permanently commissioner, I've worked with them on the County Road Old project, boat landings, parks, just about anything I needed. I've been able to pick up the phone and make a call and get the answers I needed and point it in the right directions, and they've helped facilitate writing many different grants now.
Were they involved with the bridge?
No, MSA had the bridge.
MSA had the bridge. Go ahead.
RFP goes out, reviewed selection of a developer or two, and then we select one. Do you guys offer project management after that, or continuing acting as the owner's engineer kind of situation?
Yeah, we certainly can do it. Brand, you've got experience with Cross County. They did some building shuffling and campus redevelopment.
The reason I'm asking is we don't have a deep bench, and so after contract, I think we're going to probably need some help. It's just something to determine whether you guys are interested in looking at that too.
And if we need to bring in an engineering team for on the boots or on the ground inspection services, we've got folks that do that as well.
It's not in-house.
That's enough.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, Kenton Brooks is on our team, listed in he's a civil engineer.
Yeah, I think, I mean, to more directly answer your question, I think where, after the RFP comes in, I think within our scope of services within this would be the assistance with developing, with drafting development agreements. And so we get those in place, and then if you want.
And it's after that I was asking.
Keep us engaged, yeah, keep us engaged to then, make sure that the developer was staying on task and fulfilling their obligations within those agreements.
Further questions? In that example, Steve, you were referring to us continuing to retain ownership? If we moved in a developer, because if we select a developer, our hands washed of the project? What is my question?
It depends on how you draft the development agreement. I mean, oftentimes, and I would probably suggest you would have some sort of clawback provisions in there. You would have milestones where the developer would, I mean, you could sell them the property, they could move forward with the development, but if all of a sudden, their development stalls and they're not making good on that, you would draft those development agreements to have clawback provisions where you could then purchase the property back or go.
Yeah, Richland Center is dealing with that right now, so.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty common to have that. So, again, you sell it, you try to, push it out, but, things happen and you want to make sure that you're protecting the interests of the community long term.
A lot of times what communities do is have a minimum valuation, or as developers are build something out, if you're using public funds to support that development, usually they're saying, I'm going to bring this much tax revenue in, and so then in the development agreement, you can say that they're going to build this much assessed valuation, and so then there's a guarantee, or that public assessment, or the public assistance can come back, that's not paid to the developer. So there's certain triggers and just assurances they put into a development agreement just to protect the county's interests.
Anything else?
We want it to succeed, and I think that's why we're starting with the market analysis, is right, making sure that it's right for a property owner, a developer that's going to come in, that they can, and they're in it to make a return on investment. So we want them to. want them to get that tax base that's building and provide services or housing for the community, but will also protect county interests to investments.
The market analysis also just helps to ground it in reality. I think, that was one of the points that was made as we went around. It was just, we need to be realistic about what the site can deliver, and so that'll help us get to that, manage expectations, really come up with long-term benefit for the community.
Mr. Turk, any other questions?
None for me.
Okay, nobody else here with questions? Nothing else to add? All right, I think we are good. Thank you very much for the information. Let's move on to item 9.
Wait, no, we have the other agenda, or proposal from SW.
That is in, I think, is that in last month's? Is that where you?
It should be added to this
In
one.
the
It was put in this one.
S-
And we do have number 10 to take action on choosing between the two.
That'll be coming up at item 10.
Right.
Yep.
Right, is that right? You have that?
So
Yeah,
is
yeah,
there,
just-
is there proposal number 8 or number 9 on here then?
Theirs is number 8.
Okay.
It was requested that both be added to the packet. We reviewed the one from Southwest at the last meeting,
Okay.
and then this is these folks today. So they were both in there in the appendix. So you can see both at the same time instead of digging through folders, because I know you love to dig through folders. Yeah.
There's no pig there, was there?
None at all. I don't like it either, so.
Okay, so you're good, Ingrid? We're good? All right, thank you. So we're on item 9, discussion, possible action on the UW redevelopment draft application. I assume that is you.
Yes. So I did speak with Ela at the end of last week, and we talked about what the grant can be used for. I did really want to confirm that whichever entity we choose, that we can use the grant funds to support the RFP process. So I think we wanted to do a couple of things tonight. Number one, she did strongly encourage for us to be able to guarantee receiving the funds that we add advisory members to this committee. And so in talking with Chairperson Turk yesterday, he did indicate that it would be beneficial if they come to our next meeting and really talk about what that means and how they see that looking, and did explain that this is a county committee that does a lot of other things besides just discussion on the campus. And so if you guys are okay with that, I will invite them to come to our next meeting to really just talk about the grant, the funding, and what they want to see from us so that we can guarantee we get those funds. Is the first piece. The second is just really starting to talk about what do we really want to use this $2 million for. And I made a list of the items that I have heard. Number one, obviously, is the bridge, because it's almost done, and we need to include the bridge on that. I think another item is, do we replace the second bridge, or do we create a road from Hive Drive to Simon Center to have two different points of entry? I'd hate to see flooding and then have both bridges go out and we have no way to get to that area, so that is an option that has been brought up. The parking lot at Simon's, the tennis courts at Simon's, and you'll remember that there's been grant funding and there is a match there, and if the Simon's Foundation and Simon's cannot meet that, they have requested that some of these funds be used for that project, and then also we can use it for this redevelopment. So I think what I'm looking for from you is just, what do you want us to get bids on so that we can put things together and come back to you with a full proposal of what we want to put into the grant.
Could the funds be included on, say, demolition?
They could if needed, yes.
I'm thinking about the first year I was on board, we resurfaced that parking lot for Simon's. It's a disaster. So they're talking about doing it again. So that's only 7 years.
Yeah. Thoughts? Group? I don't think, in my opinion, I don't think we need to do anything with that second bridge till we know what we're doing with the rest of the property.
Yeah.
I would take that second bridge off, in my opinion, with that.
It's good vision, but until we know what the vision direction of the property out there is, I think it's hard to put that money into it at this point.
And whatever group we decide engineering firm to go with, I in my opinion, I think we need to do something like that.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
I just want to make sure all these projects and all this advice by getting doesn't cost us more money than if we just give the damn thing away too. Hopefully we come out on the plus side.
If we give it away, then we have no control. I mean, other than, yeah. But no, but still, you gotta look at, and Steve's kind of already mentioned that, we don't have, we got other projects that are gonna take money as well. But we do have the $2 million to work with, but in timelines on,
I think June of next year is really when we need to have that plan in place and a good start or an estimated date of starting everything.
Allocated but not necessarily spent.
Correct. I think, but with a plan, like allocated, but we can't say, okay, we're gonna do a road, but there's no time frame, there's no contractors, there's no nothing set.
Not just allocated, but committed.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Got it.
So your other questions were the court, the
Tennis courts?
tennis court.
Parking lot?
How much is left?
And that's just it, that's where I guess I'm really looking to you on what are those priorities, what do you want us to build into the grant request?
I would say the tennis court, we have some requirements that we need to do with that, and we do have the group that's raising funds for that, so I think we should be able to, I think we have some responsibility in there that we need to have some teeth in. The Simon's parking lot, yes, it needs it, but I guess now I'm struggling with if we're gonna do demo and then we're gonna drive across a new parking lot?
Well, when they
Does that make sense?
did last time, Bob, is that all they did is put another layer on top of something that had no structure to it.
Right.
So if they're gonna do it, I mean, hopefully we do it right this time, where everything's removed. I'm sure Josh will agree, we put a good sub-base in there, and then we do, we can't just keep putting layer and layer and layer on it.
Unless we run into the clay problem again, Josh.
So what I would recommend is, one, doing a second bridge right away. I would almost recommend not doing anything with that second bridge period, and it would be more feasible and more advantageous for the county to build that road going in from Simons out to Hive Drive, so that way you have 2 points. I would like to put an estimate together for that. I think that number needs to be shown somewhere. And then as far as the parking lot goes, I agree, if you're gonna do heavy construction, you don't wanna put a brand new blacktop, parking lot in there, but when we do it, it's gonna take some time, because the first thing I'll be doing is doing boring samples, determine what kind of sub-base I have, determine how much we're actually gonna rip up of that, if we wanna do that in-house with county forces, or if we wanna hire that out. I mean, that's something to be determined too, so I mean, putting price tags together for the parking lot and a road, I would highly recommend to do. That and the demolition and removal of that second bridge, because in my opinion, at this point, it doesn't make sense to have 2 bridges right next to each other, that if we do have a flood, you're locked into that property. So.
Mr. Turk, any comments on thoughts?
I would be in line with what Commissioner Elder is saying, that, yeah, we need to get some numbers together. We need to look at these and see how far $2 million is going to go, and we may find out it doesn't go as far as we think.
Do we get pricing on demo of a couple of the buildings too that we know should be going? At least get pricing on that, is that something?
We had that one.
We do, there is some original demo prices that were presented by Metro Architects for those 2 buildings. I can tell you that the next bridge is gonna be around $600,000, and then the road is gonna be very similar to price.
So we can get pricing on the tennis courts and that, because that's gonna need fencing and,
I thought they had the tennis courts, like there was the grant.
There is, so the county needs to come up with $150,000.
But they were going to be doing some fundraising for
They were
that,
gonna be
correct?
working on that, but the question was asked just to make sure that we can get it done. If they can't get the fundraising, can these funds be used to finish it?
But as far as the 2 million, is there anything, I don't know which buildings may stay, but let's just say the gym will stay. Do we know of anything we need to do to make sure they get through next winter, right? That kind of stuff that we need to make sure we have the money to do it.
Yes, I believe that can be used. The other thing that I think about is, I think that there might need to be some breaking up of utilities at some point in the future, and that might be something that we would need to use some of this funds for too.
So if we already got the money earmarked for the bridge, we can't use this 2 million on the bridge we're doing right now, or part of it?
We can, yep,
Okay.
yes,
Yeah.
yep. This bridge will be covered out of these funds.
That took a good chunk out of it already.
Yeah. Well, so if we can put a list together of Josh's projects, and they already have a rough estimate on the tennis court cost, we can, what we need to come up, possibly maximum what we need to come up with, but, what other projects, you got them all down, you're good?
Yeah.
Okay. We're good for now?
That enough vision? Enough?
Yep, that's good. Very well.
Anything else on that? We'll be discussing that every month from now on until it's spent, probably
Which will be another week.
next week. All right, let's go to item 10, discussion of possible action for project management and request for proposal process. Number 10.
So we do have the two options. We have SEH, and then we have Regional Development, Southwest Wisconsin Regional Development Board. In looking at both, I do understand that SEH is more costly, but I do think that there are more things that we are getting from them if we were to go with them. The market analysis, the site condition report, really that stakeholder engagement and that public engagement. And I also think they have a wider range of resources that they can draw from. This is something that I liked it when she said, you know, this is really a legacy project that we are putting forth. And I think it's really beneficial that we do it right, that we take the time, we spend a little bit of extra money that isn't our money, you know, it's not county levy that we'll be using, we can use this grant, and really make sure that what we are putting out there to potential developers has all the information together that they need.
There's no thought at this time of asking someone else for a proposal, just the two then.
Just the two. I don't know of any, I spoke with Venture right off the bat to see if this is something they were interested in or that they do not. And so I don't know of anybody else who would be interested in giving a proposal. If you know of someone, I'm willing to reach out.
Any suggestions? Just wondering.
Thoughts? Go ahead.
Venture has worked with SEH before on other projects for this type of thing as well, just to let you know.
Thanks, Corey. What's your thoughts, committee? I think we're a committee, right? Yeah, we're a committee.
Yeah.
Committee, commissions, I'm on both, so you gotta remember.
Steve, so I guess I obviously like the price that Southwest is proposing. I like their work. I think they've done a lot of work for the county in a lot of different areas. And looking at their proposal, and I think they have the resources to do it, but I'm really looking for something that is larger scale, that reaches out farther than maybe just our regional area. And I'm leaning towards, you know, SEH as having that window of not 100 miles or 50 miles of 1,000 miles or 1,500 miles, or having that reach out, because there's people and developers and companies out there that are looking to come to the Midwest to get away from the coasts and the problems there. And I hear about them, I just don't know how to reach out to get them, and I think that's what we need to do. We need to have a bigger scope.
And their work ethic, because Midwest work ethic is, you hear that all the time.
Yeah. So I am at this point going to lean towards SH.
You got a comment, John?
Just a comment, I'm gonna sprinkle a little sugar on top of SEH here. Again, they have worked a lot with Richland County Highway. In fact, I keep them on a master contract to help us out when we need it. They have never fallen short of any listed demands I've given them, and they do good on project management. They're very good in communicative with us. You know, again, just my comment on it, having that nationwide reach and knowing some of the people that they are connected with and companies that they are connected with, I think it's very beneficial to Richland County. So we're gonna see.
If I can, so there's a master contract you said you have with SEH at this point?
I hold several different master contracts.
So out of curiosity, is there a discount for multiple county projects?
I can tell you the price that they have in front of you is a really good price.
I know, but I'm still wanting to get in there.
You know, the benefit is, there's a lot of behind the scenes coordination that's happening with the gentleman that's helping Josh with a lot of projects. And so we're getting that background already from our team. And we're not charging for that, it's just kind of getting each other up to speed. So I think that's the discount that we're not having. Those prices.
There's a
I
lot.
have to try.
That is
a lot of
the
freebies
discount.
along the way, Bob.
Okay, all right.
No, I feel the same as Bob. And if them being nationwide, then there's,
There's an opportunity there.
rest of the group, or David, you got a comment?
No, I'm in line with your thinking as well. I like the larger scope and the bigger possibilities that are coming with SEH, and the fact that we have a good work, not that we don't have a good working relationship with Regional Planning Commission as well as we do, but I think I'm leaning more towards the SEH as well.
Mr. Carroll?
There's no question they have a deep bench compared to Southwest. I have one more question. Is that okay to ask?
Sure, so are you.
Under optional services, you've got review proposals and plans from potential developers. I would have thought that would have been part of developer agreement negotiation. How do those terms translate to you guys?
That's a good question.
I think there's a scale that factors into that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that? Where's the option?
Phase two?
It's in your book list.
Last page.
Oh, yeah. No, since this, we have added that into our phase 3. Under developer agreements, we're going to support you with that, to review. That's part of our services. I don't know what that, yeah. We put this together this week.
So it's also included in that price that you have?
It is, I mean, because we're going to help you develop the developer's agreement, and then
Right.
anything that comes in, we're going to help you.
Normally, like you're optional, that means it's not included in the.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Got
So
it.
basically, everything under optional is already included.
Well, I don't think
No,
all.
not
Okay,
all of it.
just a review. I'm working them, Bob, I'm working.
I know.
Go for it, Steve.
That's why I see it. I see it's all included. Bottom line price, nothing else.
I just try to draw a circle.
There's a scale to it though too, right? So a developer submits their plans, we're not gonna look at a detailed stormwater analysis from the developer, you know, things like that. But to get you through the development agreement negotiations and the creation of the development agreement.
Right. To me, that's reviewing proposals. Yeah, okay.
Good, you're good. Anybody else? Comments before we call for a vote?
We need a motion first.
Yeah.
I would make the motion to move forward with SEH on the redevelopment project.
Motion by Supervisor Frank. Do I have a second? Mr. Manning seconds it. Further discussion on the development proposal? I think we've seen them both, so. If not, Mr. Turk, any comments? You're good?
I'm good.
Okay, all those in favor of going with SEH and the price tag of $43,160,
Including all the options.
and all, the one option that I put an arrow on, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye? Aye. Anyone opposed? All right, that is passed to go ahead with SEH. Thank you, everyone, for the good discussion. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Looking forward to good things.
Yes. All right. Item 11, discussion and possible action on approval of sale of Platinum from the campus. Item 11.
Who found it?
So when Brian Federley was giving Dave a tour, he let him know about that.
Okay.
So how much are we talking about?
Oh, here, you want me to read it quick?
$1,400.
Yeah.
Well, I'm talking-
Not a gold mine.
I'm talking about the shoebox or the pickup load? or-
Not a
It's a little bit.
But I
It's a little
mean,
bit. There are four
It's not nothing.
little cups that are used in science labs, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, Dave, with the lid on it, so with platinum, it's non-reactive, and so that's what they would use that for.
Yeah. Yeah, because platinum's a highly non-reactive metal, it was specialized for use in certain chemistry experiments. So that's why they were there, and there was also a very small quantity of platinum wire. And so we had that evaluated to see what kind of value it had.
I move to approve the sale.
Second.
Motion by Supervisor Carroll, seconded by the Supervisor Glassbrenner to approve the sale.
Discussion.
Discussion.
It sounded like the jeweler was just gonna go with that day's metal price, or what?
When we turn it in, it'll be whatever market is that day.
That's what I'm
They
saying.
watch the
Right.
market.
So, yeah, so don't keep that number in your mind.
That's what I'm getting
It
at.
might be up here. No. Any further discussion on the platinum sale from the campus? All those in favor of selling the platinum that was found at the campus through J.J. Walsh Jeweler signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Oh, aye.
All right. Anyone opposed? All right. That will be taken care of. Item number 12, future meeting date or dates.
Could we look at July 30th? 5 p.m.
July 30th, 5 p.m. work for everyone?
Not me, but this is a good time to say that I am gone most of the
I
month
won't
of
be
July, so I will be at almost
Steve
no
won't be here
meetings.
either, so.
Sorry,
July 30th.
as long as we still have quorum without me and Steve.
Let's set it, and then we'll try and make sure we have a forum, if not, we'll have to. But that's well, that's only,
Is there a different day that week that works better for you, Steve?
Thursday and then Friday I'm good. Or 31st and the 1st I'm okay.
31st works for me. I'm just on vacation the following week.
what?
You get that already?
I haven't seen that come across my desk.
Pretty sure she brought it
I'm
up for
kidding.
you.
You deserve it, yeah.
Would the 31st work? We would get Steve back.
31st?
Ingrid will be, you're
I'll
gone most
still
of
be
the-
gone.
You're still gone?
Well, what time would it be?
6-ish? We do
Possibly make it.
6 or 5?
Can't promise
5 or
anything,
6.
but
5 or 6, whatever works for you guys. Okay,
31st?
31st at 5?
5.
Mr. Turk, that's good with you? Okay?
no promises. We're
All right, so the next meeting will be July 31st at 5 p.m. here, same time, same channel. Any correspondence?
First 2 weeks here, we're gone.
October.
So I'm here in July for like.
All right, no correspondence.
Just looked out.
Future agenda items. Looks like
Time left after that.
we probably won't have any update. Any updates from anybody?
Grant, so we'll have the people from the grant to come and talk to us about.
On the 31st?
Yeah, okay. They'll be our advisory group members that we're talking about, yeah.
Yes,
okay.
yes.
And then we'll, yeah, anybody else? Steve?
As far as our agreement with SEH, I mean, how does that get, who signs the contract? How does that happen?
I would assume it'll be on July 8th executive, which is,
What's up? Put on executive. The amount of the contract is small enough that the administrator can sign.
she can direct.
Oh, okay, that's what I was getting at.
Yep.
In other words, it doesn't need to wait till our next meeting. You're gonna get it rolling right away.
Unless we don't have
you know,
Yes.
and the dollar amount's small enough, so that she
You
can.
don't have to go to full board then.
Doesn't have to, you know, you could make a motion for it to full county board for July, but I guess that's up to you folks. You did not, but if you wanted to go, you can.
Contracts for SEO.
I, you know, I don't know. David, thoughts? Do we need to take it to full county board?
The
Or?
administrator can give the board an update that we're doing it. I don't think it's necessary, it doesn't need board approval, so I don't know that we need to bring it forth for a vote or anything, so.
Is dollar figure involved in that?
Yeah, what is it?
43, but the administrator has authority to approve up to a certain amount, which is under that threshold. I think we got that in.
Okay, no. Any other future agenda items? I think we're good. If you've got them, get them to me or to the administrator or to Derek. All right, Mr. Manning.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by Van, second by Carol. All those in favor of adjourning until July 31st, signify by saying aye.
Dave,
Aye. We are
Dave,
adjourned.
before you jump off, can I update you? Can you still hear me? He's frozen. He's probably gone already.